anti-realism, reactions to the realistic forms. Um, this is the term artistic, I mean, really comes into play here. So we've talked about realism, naturalism, realistic, which was very raw, normal people, normal situations, horrible things happening, horrible repercussions, sad endings. And, people can only take that for so long. We need something a little different. So enter symbolism, which is just what it sounds like. Not necessarily black and white. Here's the message, obvious takeaways. This is more pictures and forms and streams of consciousness, if you will. Thinking more in terms of like trying to describe things that you can't necessarily see, like before birth and the afterlife, dreams. So we see more about that in this. Ibsen wrote a lot here. You probably might have heard of the musical Spring Awakening. Um, that was actually from Weidkin. He wrote that, very early on in the 19th century, and it was actually made into a musical in 2006. There's a great link here to where you can see a number from that, but even from watching that number, you're like, this is very much about what's going on inside their heads. The idea that your pen can only write so fast, and you need to be honest about the thoughts in your head. Two big things here as far as scenic design. Appia, so he had the ideas about movement and space with scenery performance. So, and that the space should reflect what the actors are doing in a more artistic way. So, choosing not just, okay, here's a space we have, let's make the play work within it. The play should dictate the set. It should enhance what's going on the stage and in the content of the play itself. So that seems like that would be intuitive, but he came at it from a more symbolic and more artistic approach. And then we've got Craig down here, who actually came up with the idea that pieces could be manipulated and moved around, not just flown in or brought in, but the pieces themselves could be manipulated, turned around, and built together, separated again. He brought in that idea, so it would help move the show along. Really radical idea. Obviously, we still use both of those today. Constructivism, this is really interesting. He came up with this idea about raw construction on stage, so not creating a fake building, or a fake room, but leaving it more machinery looking. We use that quite a bit. You've seen a bit of it in Hamilton, which is really just a brick wall, right? And in the Newsies, you see this pipe structure, and they move and bring those pipes around, and we know it symbolizes more than that, but it leaves a lot of room for the actors to manipulate and use them. See if I can bring this link up to show you guys some of his work. Yeah, you can see here, just very artistic, very, I use the term raw a lot, but basic, but yet interesting and intriguing, and leaves a lot of room for the actors to manipulate it. So that's kind of where he was going with that. And then there's futurism. Think the Jetsons, right? Beyond our time period, something that they hadn't really brought in. This is kind of a science fiction kind of an idea here of what it could look like in the future, more angular. So that kind of summarizes a lot of that, but we do need to touch real quick on expressionism. So we talked about in realism, you've got normal people, normal situations playing out a story. Expressionism is more not just the story, but what the character itself is thinking. We see that a lot in Death of a Salesman. Willie is talking in such a way that we understand what's truly going through his head. That is kind of the distinction between those two. Okay, here we go. Dada and Surrealism. Dadaism, the best thing I can explain is for you to watch this link, the Cabaret Voltaire. You don't have to watch the whole thing. Just get about 30 seconds in, and you're going to see some weird stuff. It really, and they express it very well here, madness of the world and to antagonize the audience. I don't enjoy it, but really is just a stream of consciousness. It's the best way I can describe it. But it's art, so there you go. Maybe it really speaks to you and you watch it and it kind of soothes you or says something to you. Not my personal favorite. Surrealism. Okay, and this is the idea of automatic ideas, jotting down your thoughts and it moving in such a way on the stage that your mind works faster than the pen can, than your mouth can. So there's interesting ideas here in the beast, in the breasts of Teresia. She changes her sex to gain more power in society. It's a very big idea about power and what gender you are. Very kind of interesting, a more modern idea presented, but in a very surreal stream of consciousness way, not constructed in a way that's easy to maybe take in. One of those things you have to watch a couple of times to get. Real quickly, the anti-realistic theorists here. So Artaud had this idea that comedy had lost its way, and commercial theater had lost its way. It wasn't getting through to society anymore, so he wrote a whole bunch of ideas about how it needed to become relevant again. And then another one was Brecht. He was known for epic theater, which was episodical. So you would see a play with lots of scenarios, and each scenario is meant to get you to where he wants you to go and how he wants you to think. So, and he just died in 1956. Okay, so absurd theater. We brought up the rhinoceros play before. So thinking of this idea, you've got these people in a bistro and they see a rhinoceros go by. It's set in Paris. Oh, there's a rhinoceros in Paris. How strange. And then another one goes by and it tramples a cat. Still, they're like, what is going on with their lives? And eventually people start to turn into rhinoceri. Until there's just a one man, one woman. The woman eventually gives in, and the guy trying to not all the way to the end with ideas of complacency and in society. You've also got Waiting for Godot. We've talked about that. Two people just basically on stage waiting the entire time for somebody else. Endgame, where you've got two characters. One's got a key to the cupboard of food and is blindfolded. Another one's their helper, and all he wants to do is get away. Just really outside the box stuff, meant to help you think and about society, about yourself, but just really outside of what's been done before. Lots of other plays and so forth here. Oh, you can actually see, if you know Doctor Strange, that's Benedict Cumberbatch. He actually did the lead part in The Rhinoceros, if you want to take a look at that, if you're a fan of his work. Good little clip there for you. Okay, so we have had structure, we've said no to the structure, and now we've really said no to structure through this last chapter. So don't forget to take your quiz here, and I'm interested in your answers to some of these questions and your thoughts. All right, thanks so much, guys. One more chapter to go. Almost there.